I think the funniest part about this video is that I'm constantly being interrupted by sirens. The irony is not lost on me. Hey, it's Flo. If you're anything like me on November 6, 2020, you are low on sleep and refreshing election results on Google every 3 seconds until your fingers feel numb. So as many of you know, I go to NYU, which is in New York City, one of the most popular cities in the world, the Big Apple, what have you. And I feel like when I first moved to New York, there's certain things that I kind of like knew that I would see. Rats in the park at night, subway streakers, rats carrying food, rats in the subway, rats doing that thing where they like go from one side of the street to the other side of the street in between the trash piles that are lining both ends of the street, and it's at night and you can't really see them and you just hear their scurrying. Anyways, all that to say, something that I did not expect more and more in the midst of this election is the police. So I just kind of wanted to tell you like what's going on right now in New York and like what my thoughts on it are. So bringing it back to like this summer, I know there's a lot of civil unrest because of Black Lives Matter, protesting against police brutality, and for some reason, New York thought it was a good idea to add even more police presence in New York at all times, especially right now, to somehow combat police brutality. I don't know, it wasn't my call. But I just kind of wanted to like let y'all know what was actually going on right now in New York, just because I feel like I don't really see it being talked about in the news, so I felt like I had to share. So starting on election day, there was a huge police presence around Washington Square Park, which is where a lot of the NYU buildings are, and Union Square Park, as well as other super populated areas, Soho, Times Square, just kind of everywhere. And not to mention, I've seen so many cops, even before now, who don't have masks on. Like, who are you protecting? Like, you can't even protect yourself. Sorry. But I just wanted to show you like videos and like pictures of the amount of cops, because I don't think you understand when I say there are a lot of cops here. So I just want to give a little trigger warning as to just like the heavy amounts of police here. I'm not going to show anything violent, but I just wanted to like let you know you're just going to see hella cops right now. So also shout out to one of my friends on Instagram who sent me a lot of these videos when he was outside. So. And I think after seeing all these pictures, the thing that doesn't make sense to me is like, they were there before protesters even got to Washington Square Park or like any of those areas. And it's been for the past few days, the cops would just come in these huge fleets and just be sitting there waiting for something to happen. And oftentimes they are the one inciting these, violence. Like, people are just doing their thing. There isn't anyone being super violent towards them. Like, they're coming in full, like you saw the pictures, they're coming in full riot gear, getting ready for what exactly? I don't know. The results haven't even come out at this time. So a lot of the people out there are just young people who are trying to speak their mind, which again is their constitutional rights. I feel like we forget that. So now that I've described what is actually happening, I kind of wanted to say like why I personally find it concerning. So yeah, why is it concerning? I think the first thing that really concerns me about this is the amount of taxpayer dollars that are being wasted on fitting these cops with riot gear, all these vans, all the bicycle cops, they all have to have bikes, and that money could be going to so many other things right now. For example, fixing education. New York is I think it is the most segregated school district. Also affordable housing. I feel like ever since the pandemic started, people have been displaced from their housing, even at higher, very alarming rates. Increased PPE for frontline workers because again, we're living through a pandemic, and supplying food for people who are food insecure. I feel like all these things would be very useful changes where the money could be allocated rather than just giving it to cops doing what exactly? I don't know. The second reason why it's concerning to me, and I think I've pretty much already talked about this already, but like who exactly are they targeting for these with all this presence? Like I said, like from personal experience, the other day I was leaving the library studying on my campus, which happens to be integrated in the city, and I just see a bunch of police fans and people like the police in their riot gear, and I was personally afraid that like if I looked at them the wrong way, I would get beat up. Now, like, what's the point of having police if you're just gonna feel afraid around them, and that if you do one wrong thing, they will attack you, a law-abiding citizen, you know? I think that's something that really just concerns me. Like, who are they targeting? What is this message for? And like, again, like they're targeting people who are doing nothing. Recently I saw this on Twitter, and I'm not gonna insert a video, but I'll be leaving stuff in my description so you could see. But like, there is the weekly Stonewall protest that happens, and like I think protesters are just shouting end homophobia, and then again, this happens every week. I feel like they should know this, and then it just turned violent. Like the police went against one of the main organizers, and it was just kind of like, why? You know, like they're not even, I don't understand. Like people are allowed to gather, and like they're not being disruptive. Like it's really the police who are the ones taking up all the room in the streets. Like, you know, their cars are everywhere, they're blockading stuff. Like, you're the one that's blocking off people from getting where they need to go. And again, this also goes back to the question of like, who exactly are you protecting and serving? Like, I don't understand. Also, this leads to the whole thing of businesses being boarded up everywhere. I don't, like, it's actually become a trend to have businesses being boarded up in the city. And I know like looting was a concern over the summer, but like, who's gonna loot Claire's? Who's looting Sweet Green? Who's looting the Nutella Cafe? That was the first place I saw being looted. Hazelnut spread is not that good. Like, I do love a good Nutella crepe, and yes, I did take French, thanks for noticing. But yeah, like, why are you boarding up these places? Like, I don't understand. Like, what message is that sending to people? Like, you're protecting the property over hearing the concerns of very valid concerns of people. I just don't understand why these businesses feel the need to board up against people who are doing what exactly, I don't know. And then with that, I just kind of want to say like what my lingering questions are. Again, there are just so many questions that I have. I think I'm just gonna read them because again, there's so many. First, what exactly is the role of the police presence, and like what message are they trying to send out? Also, where's Bill de Blasio in all of this? I feel like he's been awfully quiet for such a huge presence in New York City. And then again, another question that I've had is like, shouldn't the police be called if something happened? Like, isn't it more of like a reactionary thing? I feel like for the amount of police that are there versus the amount of protesters, like it's not proportional. I don't understand. Like, these should be the people you're calling for backup if there is huge protests in places, but there really hasn't been. Like, shouldn't they be called if something actually happened? Again, who was the person that made this call? Who thought it would be necessary to have all these cops out with the election results not even finalized as of right now? There are literally legions of cops being called right now or coming out, and nothing is going on. Maybe the first night of elections, like I guess I could see, you know, people potentially being angry, but this has gone on for a few days, and we obviously know there's not going to be results that quickly. So yeah, it's all just very confusing to me. And again, I don't really have answers to all these questions. I feel like I personally don't, but I also, you know, if you have any thoughts on this, I would love to hear like why you think things are going the way that they are. Yeah, so here's just like my final thoughts of the whole situation. First of all, I like elections, presidential elections are supposed to be a process that happens every 4 years. And I kind of like to think of it as like a temperature check for America, I guess, like seeing what the needs of like what people want. And quite frankly, this scares me. It really does. Seeing all those police, kind of what their thoughts on us, and like I personally just feel like it's a reflection of them trying to incite power, wearing the riot gear, feeling like they have control of a situation that really isn't a situation. It's really all just power play in my opinion. Make that what you will. I will also say, I know this is a much larger conversation, and like I personally don't think I have the range to talk about everything. while also studying for my physics exam. That's just me personally. But again, feel free to let your voice be heard. And I didn't want to show any like violent videos just because, you know, this is some sensitive topic to people. I'll be linking stuff in my description. I also just want to say, please stay safe. I know there's a lot of dangerous people out there who really do want to hurt you just for counting ballots. Again, it's a whole thing. But actually, please stay safe, especially if you're in a heavily contested area right now. And I hope everyone just finds some sort of peace in the situation. You know, obviously, things are not just gonna like be hunky-dory, you know, if Biden wins. Like, there's still so much work to be done. But I do hope people do find peace in just in general, you know, please take care of yourself. And with that said, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Also, shout out Paige, my old roommate, for oh, wow, if you saw that fall, no you didn't. Yeah, shout out Paige for helping me with this video. She really helped me flesh out my thoughts, so that was really nice of her. Please let me know what your thoughts on this are. If you didn't know about just how many police there are in New York right now, I don't blame you. Literally no one is talking about it, so yeah, stay safe out there. Bye.
She a art chick, always doing art shit. Show me how she does it, now I only wanna watch this. Like the way she talk about the topics she believe in. Feel like I went back to college, the way she teach.